Hello and welcome to The Way It Is. I'm your host, Barnard Sims. We thank you so much for tuning in with us this evening with our special guest, Dr. Welch III. Well, we before we get into that, he's gonna tell us he's gonna tell us a lot about what he's doing in real estate and help us with a lot of things. But before I get into that, I want to ask that you subscribe to our channel so we can continue creating important content like this for our community. People often say we don't have things and we don't share information. Well, that's what we try to do here on The Way It Is, because we understand that information is power and we want to empower each other. And going on with that, one of our very good supporters, Ballet Dance Company, is having 3 performances this Saturday and Sunday, 2 Saturday and 1 on Sunday. April 1st, Saturday is at 2:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. I'm sorry. And the one on Sunday, April 2nd, is 2:30 p.m. It's at the Porter Sanford 3 Performing Arts and Community Center in Decatur, Georgia. And we'll be sharing information on that. Ballet and East Athens Dance Center has always been very supportive of the community. And so we always want to try to show our love and support for them as well. And their show this weekend, the tickets are $40, $50 for VIP seating. So please try to support organizations that support us. And with no further ado, we have the opportunity for me to introduce a man I admire immensely. He's the author of, I think it's 3 books, but I think he's working on something else. He got a lot in different genres too, which is amazing. He's a principal of a school here with award-winning schools. Something on his bio that I didn't know. I knew it was Alpha Psi Alpha fraternity, but the Selma connection, and I'll ask you about that later on, but that's just amazing. But I don't want to take too much time because you got a lot of stuff that we need to hear. And so thank you for coming on and being our guest tonight, Dr. Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to talk to your viewers.
Yeah. So before we get into all this that I really, I don't want to jump the gun and get into it because I'm in the process of selling a house myself. So it's just so much that you have to offer, but I always want to start at the beginning because my interviews are supposed to be about my guests. And so let's start from the beginning. You're growing up. Anything you like to share with us about your growing up that inspired you to become the man that you have become?
Well, absolutely. I am originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. And if you're from New Orleans, you have many, many stories that you can tell about the hardships that you may have encountered or how you grew up. But I fortunately was able to beat some of the odds because of parents that have been very, very strategic in their moves, and they basically made sure that myself and my 2 siblings were able to do what we needed to do in our profession so that we could be successful in life. And that took a lot of sacrifice. Like my mom, she worked for Project Independence, which was a welfare department, helping women and families get off of welfare by finding different trades and skills. My dad, he was a coach. He was an educator. Both my parents are still alive, so I'm still learning a lot from them. But what I do know that I've learned from both of them is that I got a lot of my intellect from my mom and I got my work ethic from my dad. So when I have that doubled up, I've really gotten a double dose of hard work as well as great characteristics that would help me later on in life. So, I mean, New Orleans is great for me, and I'm a diehard Saints fan, and I know that when it's all said and done, we'll be victorious at some point in the near future.
Now wait a minute. Now you know that's a touchy subject around here, right?
Well,
We're not in Atlanta, but we're around there. But the Saints. But I saw you with the Saints stuff on, but I kind of just remembered that I didn't know you were from New Orleans. The Black Ink Book Festivals in New Orleans, and some of those people I think it'd be good to introduce you to some of those people because I had a Ty Savant. She has a Time with Ty. I interviewed her like Women History Month, and she has a
Right.
nonprofit in New Orleans. So it'd be good that
Okay.
authors learn from other authors. Iron sharpens iron, and it's a
Yeah,
great community
absolutely.
of authors from there. I should have told you about the Black Ink Festival before I went.
No worries. You just told me, so hey, we'll put it on our calendar.
Okay, okay, but uh, of course, not being from New Orleans, that was my first time going. What was you said it was challenging, but what were some of the things the way you were like? Are you like New Orleans near the Superdome or?
So my house is about a mile away from the French Quarter. So I'm not in some of the deep-hearted parts that have more of the poverty and all of that. However, when you go into New Orleans is a city that has its challenges. And, you know, I love my city. I love the food, the music, and all the things that bring so many people there. But, you know, when you start looking at the economics behind it, you start looking at the education, look at those things, you find that there's some things that can be done a lot better. But you know, with that, you know, I'm still, it's like a Saints fan. We are forever optimists. So not only for the Saints, I'm also rooting for my city to make sure that you know that my city is doing well too.
Yeah. And see, my country tale, when I went there, uh, I was on a forum with Black Writers Workspace, and they were talking about what are you gonna do when you get there. My country tale talking about I want to go see Magnolia, where Master P and them was from. They said,
Right, right.
"What?"
Yeah.
I was just, only thing I knew about it was the biggest I think the biggest eye was on New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. So I started
Right,
analyzing the dynamics of how
right,
is a city in a bowl, going over Lake Pontchartrain, you really
right.
get the picture of how that kind of devastation and tragedy can happen and
Yeah,
when the
absolutely.
levee breaks.
Yeah, absolutely. It was tragic, you know, and I don't think anybody who lived in New Orleans at the time went without having some strife or some type of difficulty during that time, whether or not their house was underwater or whether or not their house was completely safe. They still went through tragedy because we know so many of our relatives as well as friends who lost everything and some even lost their lives. So with that, you know, we still go through a grieving process, but I'm happy to see that my city is it's on its way back also, and it is continuing with some of the great things that it's known for, but also still has some of the challenges that it's known for as well. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited about being able to go to my city anytime that I can. But at the same time, I recognize that you know being here in the Atlanta area, it does present its challenges for me to even make an impact back there.
Yeah. 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 It's a beautiful city too. Beautiful
It
city.
is. Well, it is in certain areas. It is definitely, but you know, you can say that about any city in the United States.
Oh yeah, because you can be in Atlanta and take a wrong turn and you think whoa, man, what?
Yeah, I've done that before. I've done that, Bernard. I've definitely done that. So it was like, whoa, I think I need to take another take another left, right? You take a couple of lefts, then you get a U-turn and you're right back where you were.
Yeah, you could be at Georgia Tech campus and mess around, take a wrong turn, and end up in Techwood Homes, and you're like, oh my God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing how close they are too in
Yeah,
proximity.
yeah,
Right.
but that how close they are, but how far apart they are too.
Right.
At the same
Right.
time, the state
Exactly.
of and in New Orleans, when I was looking at where those projects were, they
Hmm.
rebuilt some of them in reference to the Superdome, and I was
Right.
thinking like Sugar Ray Leonard had this fight. I'm going way back now, but had this
Right.
mega fight with Roberto Duran right here, and people were living like this, only feet
Yes.
away.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, you went back with that one. I
yeah.
I appreciate you rejogging my memory on that
I'm
one.
showing my age. I'm showing my
You
age.
hey, nothing wrong with that. See, many people don't live to be able to say that they're showing their age. So, you know, it's a good thing.
Yeah. And so let's go back to you and growing up and your formal years of education and how
Yes.
how you inspired you to do so well to be where you are
Mhm.
in school.
Okay. Well, Originally, when I was in New Orleans, I was in it's a pretty unique story, but I guess not so unique. I was went to kindergarten. I graduated from kindergarten. And then when I went to first grade, my parents recognized that the educational system was not going to offer me the best opportunity for success. So they put my sister, who is 2 years above me, in a private school. And in that private school, when they tested me, they wanted to put me back in kindergarten. And my mom was like, "Oh no, he has graduated. I will work. I will work. I will work." And what I found is that it was a lot of hard work for at least a solid 5 or 6 years. And I recognized that, in the grand scheme of things, I was so far behind that I had to have been socially promoted probably for my first 3 years in the private school, first, second, and third grade. And then eventually the light came on with the intervention of quite a few of our retired teachers who came in to help me with my reading, because reading was my deficit. You say that now, here it is. I love to read, I love to write and things like that, but that was my deficit. So we took a weakness and we turned that into a strength. And I think, to be honest with you, I think the way that my parents saw things and the way that my school worked things out for me is one of the great reasons why I am right here the way that I am. So I went through a lot of issues back then. And I'll tell you a more personal story. So I ran across my second grade report card. And back in the private schools, we did sixth grade. We had 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks, you would get a report card. So it's not like 9 weeks in the public schools or where you are now. So I ran across this report card, and I'm like, "Oh man, this is my second grade report card." So I opened it up because it was a trifold, and I look at all of these negative remarks like F, 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 F. When I came down to it, and I counted all of the F's I had at the end, I had 19 F's on my entire year in second grade. That's the reason why I feel like I was socially promoted at the time, but we were still working to have progress also when we came in. And I remember it was my second grade year in which my school, they put me on an SRA program, which was specific for reading. And then they also brought in Miss Baker. Miss Baker was a retired teacher who came in, and she worked with me 3 times a week on my phonics, on my reading, on my comprehension, my fluency, and all of that, and got me to a point where I could then compete with my other. She worked with me for 3 solid years from second grade all the way to fourth grade. And that's when I noticed that things had to start turning around for us.
And what was her name again?
Miss Baker. I
Miss
will never
Baker.
forget it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Miss
I will
Baker.
never forget it. So Miss Baker, at the time, Miss Baker probably was maybe 70,
Wow.
somewhere between 70 and 75. And this is me just speculating. Of course, I would never ask her how old she was, right? But at the time she was, and she took her time out of her schedule 3 times a week to come and help, a little old fellow that just needed some help with reading at the guidance of my principal as well as my parent support too.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't, I mean, I wouldn't expect you to say that,
Mhm.
but that's
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing how
Well,
that
it
happens.
It is. It really is amazing, Bernard. The way I see it right now, I attribute Ms. Baker, my parents, and my schools for the foundation that I need. And now, if Ms. Baker was alive, which I'm sure by now she's not, um, she would probably be so proud, of a young man who's gone from having a deficit in reading, receiving 19 Fs on his yearly report cards in second grade, to now being a college graduate, a 6-time college graduate, having 6 degrees, as well as being able to, call himself or have the title of doctor. That's amazing when it comes to it. And the fact that now I am an author of 3 books, working on 4, and have some others in the pipeline in my thought process and I already outlined, that would probably be something she would be extremely proud. It would validate her work.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, it's like to come from that, and I think a lot of times, from me, from my own testimony, and like going through school and really not grasping the concepts of what I was
Right.
reading. Could read every word, could enunciate
Mhm.
them, but then when you take me over here to take a test on it, I would have to scan the paragraphs for the answers. And
Right.
so I attribute mine to I'm a visual learner. And so the content I was given didn't include me or my stories, and I couldn't connect to the narrator. So I couldn't
Right.
position myself in the narrator's seat. And so my journey is similar to yours. And now I'm an author and I'm trying to write stories
Right.
so that
Right.
other people can identify with the struggles of being a Black man in America. But I
Right.
want to
Well,
get to
not just an author. I've
right.
read your book. It's a great book to read. So if anybody who's watching and you have not picked up The Southern Awakening, you definitely need to make sure that you pick it up, because Bernard Sims has really done a great job, and he's put his what do they say? You put your foot in certain things when it's come to to food. Right
Right.
here, if that I use that analogy when
Right.
I refer to your book.
Well, thank you. I can't take any credit for it. I just surrender to, the wisdom that the elders in the community give me, and I just feel a responsibility to share their voices, as I'm sure you do as
Right.
well. Because I've
Well,
read
thank
your
you.
stuff too, and I'm actually more questions about how you switch from urban fiction to this and that. But being that I'm in the middle of trying to sell a house, I don't want to. I want to end with the book stuff so we can leave the links and stuff so people can support the
Yes,
work that you do. But
absolutely.
as far as how did you get into on the realtor side? How did you get into that aspect of it?
So I have always had several desires in my life. I've always wanted to coach a team, which I'm doing for my 12-year-old. I've always wanted to be an author and write book or two right here, which I'm doing now. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, which is I have my entrepreneurial spirits going too. And I've always wanted to help people get in homes and work in real estate. So I'm able to live out my life's work and my life's dreams at this particular point in my life, because I no longer chase money. I no longer chase status. I just live my life with a priority that my family is first. God is going to control everything within it. And now he's given me a platform to be able to do everything that I've always wanted to do. So I'm so grateful for that. So when I started with real estate, and I was taking some courses and things like that, and the online courses, I knew for a fact that, this is something that I could be good at, as well as it was something that I really, really had a high interest to. And when I work with my clients, the happiness on their face, the smiles, that's what drives me. It's kind of like it validates me. In education, what validates me is when the kid gets that aha moment, right?
Right.
Or when you've helped a teacher move to the next level of proficiency so that they can literally continue with educating children at a higher level. And the same thing happens with real estate. I am 4 years into real estate. I'm working with an amazing broker, and we get things done. We literally make things as easy as one, two, three.
Mm. For a while. I don't know if you in the Barrow County area because this market is going crazy right now.
Yes, it is. It is. It's changing slowly. It was more so a seller's market, and it is still a seller's market, but it is turning into. But it's a slow process turning into a buyer's market. But the bottom line is that the market is something that's variable from year to year. But and right now, if you're interested in selling your home, if you're interested in even purchasing a home, there are homes out there. A year and a half ago, when you're looking at purchasing a home, you were in major competition. But now you're able to find homes. Now that doesn't mean that when you bid on it, you will get that offer and they'll accept your offer initially, because there is some competition, but it's not like it was before. So if you're interested in selling homes, and if you're interested in buying a home or selling your home, hey, I can certainly help you, especially if you're in that Gwinnett, Barrow area, and I'll go, even as far as Covington and all that, and have done so.
Now, going back to that, what are some of the services that you offer?
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you asked that. So I'm with Monty V Realty. Monty V is my broker, and he's also my fraternity brother. So he just started his realty business 2 years ago. So I was with another firm before I came to him. And I wanted to help him get off of his feet so that he can have a successful business. So literally, my success is his success, and his success is really my goal. So with that, I've had an opportunity to work and learn a lot from him. But some of the things that we offer are, of course, you're going to get professional service. You're going to get timely responses. You're going to get consistent communication. Those are the things that any realtor should be able to give you on any given day. Unfortunately, all realtors are not the same, and some they won't. So you sometimes can spin your wheels a little bit and wait 6 months, because normally you're under contract with them for about a 6-month span if you find the wrong one. But what we do is we make sure that we come out. We'll give you an evaluation of your home to see what we believe it will be. Certainly, we'll give you guidance in terms of the lenders that we have, because we have a cadre of lenders that are ready and waiting to let you know what you can afford, and to even get you not just pre-qualified, but also pre-approved for a particular loan or for a specific amount, so that you can begin to purchase a home. Now, on the selling side, what we do is we come in, we'll give you advice of things that you can do to stage your home and make it even more marketable. We will put your home out there on some social media platforms so that people will see it. You know, you will have literally every avenue of our business at your disposal. So we also do 3D high definition pictures that we then take those photos, and we use a Manaport type of system that links all of the photos and creates virtual tours for you. So literally, we take the pictures and you will have a virtual tour that comes in. But that's not it, Barnard. One of the other things that we do is we do aerial views of your home, because we have our own drone service. So we own these things that I'm talking. So we don't have to go out and spend extra money. You won't have to spend extra money for it, because it's part of the package that we offer at Montev Realty.
Wow. Wow. Is that sort of like included in what clients can expect from your services?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We walk you through the process. Like you say, one of the taglines is we make it easy as 1, 2, 3 with Montev. And that's exactly what we do.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's
Yes.
pretty good. Say that one more time now. Make it easy.
We make it as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Montev.
And I guess for people who are not familiar with, like myself, who are not familiar with real estate and anything, what are 3 important things that I should know or do before trying to sell my house?
Well, first you want to look and you want to get a realtor or somebody who can then look in the system to determine what the value of homes are in your area. When you begin to look at what the value is, that's going to tell you about what you can sell yours. Some of us believe, because we've put a lot of sweat equity into our homes, so we might have gone in and over the last 5-10 years, we've put 50,000, we put 75,000 into the home. So we think, okay, that means my home is valued at $75,000 more, which means that if I had a home and it was 300,000 when I bought it, I'm not going to sell it for any less than 375,000 because I put all this sweat equity in. That's not the case. What drives the value of homes is the market. So if you have homes that are right next to you that nobody's put anything into it, the lawn care is not where it needs to be, it's an eyesore or whatever, it is driving down the value of your home because of the people in the area. You won't be able to find all of the information and all that's going to be needed for you to do a really good evaluation of your home to determine what it should sell for. You might find some information by looking at Zillow or looking at all these different places. But the bottom line is you want to get a seasoned and a veteran or somebody who knows what they're doing and who can use the system that you guys are not privy to, unless you are a realtor. Use the system to find out how much homes are with a mile square radius or 5 mile square radius. And we start looking at, okay, so how many bedrooms do they have? What's the square footage? You look at all of those different things. And once you've seen what that is, you can now present different comps, and you can be presented comps from your agent that says, hey, this is what I think. based off of your market, based off of the homes that are in this have the same dimensions, the same comparables that you have. Guess what? We think that your home, you could make, you should probably list around that 415,000 or something to that effect. But without that information, you're really shooting blind. And you then have a difficult issue, because if you tell your realtor, okay, I want to sell this home for 500,000 because I put 75,000 sweat equity in it, right? So I want to sell it for 500,000, but your home values are only going for 425. Now you put it on the market for 500,000. Now it's sitting there. It's sitting there. It's sitting there. And the longer your home sits there on the market, everybody sees that it's there. So now when a person is buying or looking to purchase your home, they are now saying, okay, well, something must be wrong with this home because it didn't sell. It didn't sell. Then they're looking at and they're saying, okay, so since that one didn't sell, now I know they're going to negotiate with me. And now they're going to bring you a lowball figure for you, when actually the figure is going to get closer to the 425 that you should have put as a sale price on there. So I'm just saying, that's one thing that you want to do. Get a seasoned veteran who can get you the information that you need in order to be informed and make great choices on how much you want to buy, or how much home you want to sell yours for, or if you're purchasing a home, we can help you with that. The second thing I would say, Barnard, is to make sure that your financial stability is there. Make sure that you can afford the home. Everybody has dreams of this dream home. My bank account may say I can only own a home. I can afford a home that's 250,000, but the homes I like are 450,000. So what happens is, when I go to the table to try to get a loan or try to be pre-approved, now I have a big dose of reality. And that dose of reality is, I have to now figure out how I'm going to now make income that would support a home of 450,000, and how I can be approved for that one. So now I have work to do. Now, and you know as well as I know, if you have the income to support 250,000 and you have $450,000 dream home in your mind, right, it's going to take you quite some time to get the income necessary, unless for some reason you have some cash flow that comes in well, pretty easily for you. And the third thing I would say when it comes to homes is have realistic expectations. Realistic expectations. So many times as realtors, we have clients who have unrealistic expectations. They want more than they can afford, and they want you to be able to do more than you can. So they want their home sold in 15 days. They want their home sold yesterday. And it hasn't been put on the market. So have realistic expectations, be patient, and start early. Start your process early. So if you're thinking that you want to sell your home now, you should have probably already started your process 6 months ago.
Start the process how?
Educating yourself on the values of the homes that are around you, finding out what you need to do to your home if you're selling. To find out what you need to do to your home to get the greatest value. And sometimes it might be that you need to renovate the front yard so that it has curb appeal that's necessary. Sometimes it might be taking down old things that are in your home that now send a dated type of approach to your home. There are a lot of different things you can do to a home, simple things, small things that will raise your value thousands of dollars. But if you have just a standard realtor who's looking for the money and not looking for the satisfaction of getting you in the best home possible, then they won't tell you those things. They will just put it on the market for how it is, and then you wonder why your home is on the market 45 days, 3 months with no offers. Sometimes I had a friend of mine, Barnard, who had it's a good friend of mine. He forgot I was a realtor. So he selected a realtor that allowed him to put an offer on a home that was $100,000 less than the asking offer. Because it was an open door property, which is a property that is owned by investors or whatever, the realtor said to him, well, yeah, well, they're gonna have to come down on it because they don't want to keep paying the mortgage. They don't want to keep paying the mortgage every single month on this home, so they're gonna have to come down. Well, first of all, nobody's coming down on $100,000 unless you're looking at $1 million homes, right? The second piece of that is you don't understand that open door properties, which is investors, they have thousands of properties across the nation, which means that this property, this one mortgage that they're paying right now, with property taxes all that equates to one nickel for them instead of it being a mortgage that's $2,100. So he got very bad advice. And on top of that, he is looking to sell his home that he's in. He has a pretty nice home too. His home has been on the market for 6 months, and he has not been able to get an offer. He has not been getting his offer accepted by someone else because he's gotten bad advice and he had a bad realtor.
Right. Half of the battle is knowing who to listen to.
Absolutely.
So when you
talk, and that's what we bring.
Right. That's so when you're talking about buying, I guess I would ask you, what are 3 important things to do when you're getting prepared or in the process of buying?
Oh, so first, again, know what you can afford. The second thing, again, and really it's about the same. You need to have a realtor who is willing to put the time in for you. So I would say know what you can afford, and start preparing early. But the realtor is very important. I'll tell you, the last 2 clients I've had, one of them I showed over 26 houses in a 5-week span. The last client I had, I showed them 39 houses in a 6-week span, and they settled on the 36th house. And I was able to negotiate where they were able to now have others come. The seller in a market like this, which is unheard of, came to closing with all closing costs.
Wow.
That doesn't happen very often. So what happens is you have to have someone who's willing to go out there, who's willing to streamline the process for you, who's not going to waste your time. So when I'm showing someone 35 houses, which, no realtor really wants to show that many houses, okay? I'm going to tell you that now. We don't want to just run around. But I'm strategic in what I do in terms of I'm going to show you 4 or 5 houses today in this particular area. I'm going to set it up to where there are 45 minutes apart, 30 to 45 minutes apart. That way we can get in, take inventory. When we go in, we're not talking out loud or anything like that, because you never know who has recording devices and video that has recording on it right now. And that might be the home where we're like, oh gosh, I really love this particular home right here. And now they know, because they've heard you say it, that now they're going to get more money out of you, are going to ask more, because you've given, you didn't have your poker face on.
You got the game.
So what? Exactly. So when you go into a home situation, you definitely want to make sure that you are seeing multiple homes. That way you can look and find out exactly what this house has over that house. So that's a good thing for you too. And then the last thing I would say from your as a buyer, don't just settle for anything. If you have to walk away from the buying process in order to get a home that you believe is worth your money, do that. And when I say that, this is what I mean. Some people get so excited just to have a home, so they accept a home that has a lot of issues. And then they find that they don't have peace in their own home because they have to take care of a lot of things in the home. So make sure that you are okay with what you want, and that the home that you are literally bidding on, it's a home you can see yourself in and doesn't have a lot of problems.
Right. Right. I'm gonna connect 2 things that I know you're involved in both, but before I get to the part about
wait, before you go into that, Barnard, do you have a realtor?
Yeah, I have one.
All right, all right. If you have any questions, and you're a realtor, hopefully they're not listening to this, but hey, if you're a realtor, if you have any questions about what they should and shouldn't be doing, just give me a call, and then I will make sure you're more informed about what to say, the buzzwords that will keep them on their P's and Q's.
All right.
All right. Now, if your realtor is your wife or something, then leave me out of it.
It's close. It's not my wife,
Yeah.
but it's close.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
But I just wanted to, I know this because I've been following you for years, and I noticed before I knew who you were, I do analyzing data for local schools, and I noticed the test scores were increasing in this one school, and it was your school, and that was before I knew you. And so how important is that in improving our schools and our test scores and stuff involved in increasing the value of our homes?
Oh, schools increase the value of homes significantly. I don't know many people who have children who want to go into a school district that has poor schools. That's why people always look on these sites and you see you go into what's the school rating and all of that. So here, I understand what the school rating is. Fortunately for me, I've worked in two very good districts. I've worked in Gwinnett and I've worked in Barrow. So I know Gwinnett, I know Barrow, which means that if I'm your realtor, then certainly, you're going to get the benefit of that too, and knowing more about the schools and what they're doing. But the schools oftentimes can make or break the clientele that comes in. And not only are you talking about the home value for your home now, if you are purchasing a home, the schools will determine the class of people who will also be purchasing homes in your area. And if the class does not fit your expectation right here, you could find your home values dropping significantly. So, that's why, and this was when we did school, when we were making a lot of improvements at my school, and we were constantly moving up the bar and up the bar, my mindset was not necessarily from a realtor's mindset. My mindset was from, how can I get kids to be prepared for what they are going to be facing soon? And that was my relentless pursuit. And that's why I took a lot of time hiring my staff and making sure that they were equipped with the knowledge, the tools that was necessary, and also the mentality to work with kids who are not just gifted and not just your average, but also those kids who have challenges too. And fortunately, Lord has blessed me with being able to have a level of discernment, but also a level of stick-to-itness, that I'm going to stick to my core values. And if I can't put my own biological child in a teacher's classroom, then that teacher is not worth it for me than being in my school. And that's one of the things that we focused on. And I didn't know you were looking at data, but I know, like, when I was in Barrow the first time, when you start looking at data and you start looking at those things, we had a long stretch. And when I took over as principal, it was like a 7-year process. When I was principal of one of the middle schools there, we literally, when you're looking at math, science, social studies, language arts, you look at, I remember doing a spreadsheet when I was just trying to work with my school governance team, because I wanted them to see progress. And I got to the last year, which was the 7th year, and I started looking at data. I started color coding everything that was coming. And what I realized is that I had green all across the board, which means that over 7 years' time, in all of the core subject areas, we were making improvements in every one of those over a 7-year period, except for one. And that one, we dropped 2 percentage points in that one. So we went from like an 84% proficiency to 82% proficiency. And then there were 2 other ones that just stayed the same, and they were in the 87 and 88% proficiency for those 2 at the time right here. So when you look at 7 years and you see nothing but greens, you see 2 yellows and 1 red, then you know you're on to something. And that's why we've been able to get, many of the rewards from our state, as well as, just basically making sure that our kids are good.
And I see all the awards for high achievement and progress and everything, but I think you said the Miss Baker, who was the lady
Yes,
name?
Miss Baker.
I think she
Miss Baker.
I can't speak for her, but I think she'd be very proud of the work that you're
Well,
doing
thank you.
to build the bridge of doing, sometimes it's each of the African proverbs, each one teach one. And
Right.
sometimes we can't pay the person back who helped us, but the best
Yeah,
way to do that is by paying it forward. And I see
absolutely.
you doing magnificent work in doing that.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Bernard. That means a lot coming from you.
Yes, yes. Now you said chasing a while ago. I almost went into the book part because I was like, you got a book called. You said you were chasing something. I was like, chasing sage, the urban
Yeah, no.
fiction. Yeah,
No,
I-
I think no, it was more of chasing money.
yeah.
Like before, when I was in there, I had aspirations to be a superintendent at one time. And then when you realize that there are greater goals for you, and my greatest achievement is to be the greatest father that I could. And I
Mm,
realized that the time that it took in order to be the greatest father was in direct conflict with my aspirations to be a superintendent because of the age of my kids
mhm.
at the time. So I knew that I needed to put in my own sweat equity as a father. So that's why I was able to just kind of move away from aspiring to be a superintendent and all those things. And now what I found is that I'm the happiest in my life than I've ever been because I no longer chase money and I no longer chase status.
That's important. That's important. It's funny. I went to a men's mental health conference in South
Mm-hmm.
Carolina. Charlemagne the God and was putting it on, and
Yeah.
when all they was just men, and when all the women left, they asked, every man in there, what is your biggest fear? And of course, some big, my woman cheating on me, this, that, the other. But the biggest
Right.
one that I heard the most was failing as a father.
Right.
We don't want to leave here in doing that. So I admire you
Absolutely.
for taking that stand to
You are right.
be put the fatherhood up at the top. It's the top priority
Absolutely.
responsibility.
Well, I mean, I had a great father. I have a great father. And this is what I tell people all the time when it comes to my dad. If I can be half the man that my dad is,
Mm.
then I'm still going to be twice as good as any other man. And
Ooh,
that's how impactful he is to me in terms of the work ethic and everything that goes along with what I do right now.
well, I definitely want to make sure we get into your works of your books. That urban fiction I was alluding to,
Yes. Yes.
chasing sage. What can we what inspired you to write that, and what can we expect in reading?
Um, so chasing say so I've always been one who's had a creative mind. And sometimes when you write stories, and then you feel like, okay, oh man, this could, I could go a little bit further. And that's how Chasing Stage started. It actually started with an ex-girlfriend of mine. Right here, I was dating her, and in the process, I would send like the very first chapter, the very first part, the very first two paragraphs in there. I sent it to her in a text, and then I stopped the text purposefully. Then I went on the next day. I picked it up again and I continued that text. And she's like, "Oh, this is good. Where is it?" And then I stopped it intentionally. So then I picked it up and I did a series of those things for like 7 or 8 days. I picked up right here. So I had literally. It took me about 4 days for the first chapter, and then I started looking for the second chapter too, and then I stopped at that particular point. So then afterwards, when I got it, I just put them all together. I said, okay, all right, let me throw this into a Word document. I'll come and I'll pick this up later. So when I began to pick it up and I read, I was like, oh yeah, my mind is moving, and it just moved. So the ironic thing about Chasing Sage is it has 30 chapters. It took me 3 years to write the first 15 chapters.
Mm.
And it took me 3 weeks to write the last 15. And the last 15, I mean, it takes off. Like right now, in any writing that's some kind of fiction, you have to set the stage. So
Mm.
my first 4 or 5 chapters, I'm really setting the stage, introducing you to literally my 6 major characters that I have in there. And then it takes off from their storyline. So I call Chasing Sage a literary gumbo, because you're going to have killing, betrayal, sex, some really steamy sex scenes and all of that too. Don't judge me on that one. It has literally everything that you want in an urban fiction, and it brings intrigue. Every chapter leaves you hanging for when does that part pick up again. So there are like 3 or 4 different pieces in it and spin-offs that could happen from it. So, and that's where my second, the continuation of this book, which is the continuation of Chasing Sage, which is Broken Promises, it picks up off of that. It picks up off of Chasing Sage, and it also goes into more of the characters too. So it's a really, really good book. It's a really good read. I urge anybody to pick it up and see what it is. I think I've kind of put my foot in it too, and it's like the food too. And I think that it's good. It's gotten rave reviews. It's been compared to Eric Jerome Dickey, my late frat brother. It's been compared to those types of books also. I don't have the platform that he has. However, I believe I have the talent and the skills, and I believe the storylines are just as good as his books.
That's right. Said the gumbo, that's that New Orleans coming out.
Yeah, that literary gumbo. It has everything in it that you want.
Now, the other one, your books is a self-help, is Gain Favor, Get Ahead, 20 Ways to Beat the Competition. Now, is that the book I read about M&Ms are good?
Yes, first chapter. First chapter, M&Ms are good. So when I wrote Chasing Sage, I realized, okay, urban fiction I love the creative sides of it. However, my passion has always been educating people and helping others. Chasing Sage is entertainment value, and you will be thoroughly entertained. And because of some of the content, I had to use my alias on it. If you can see it, it's BG Magic.
Right.
BG Magic. But when I started to write Gain Favor and Get Ahead, I had kids and adults in mind. So the book is structured like a workbook that allows you to truly, truly work with a young person as an adult, so that you can now strengthen your relationship. You can learn what you need to know. So it's funny how you say M&Ms, the first chapter, M&Ms are good. When people think of that, they think of M&Ms like, okay, well, why is he talking about these fictional characters? These are not the M&M characters. The M&Ms are good is an acronym, the M&Ms, for manipulation and mind games. Mm-hmm. If you use manipulation and mind games for good, then it becomes good. But if you use it in negative ways, then it becomes the stereotypical image that you would have if you said somebody was manipulating somebody or mind games on somebody. For me, every interaction that you have, you're going to have to use some strategy in order to get a person to see you a certain way, to be able, so that you can truly gain favor with them and possibly get ahead. But there are a lot of great chapters, but it's 20 tried and true methods that allow people to see and experience how they can gain favor with others. And I think that's critical. And I use it every single day when I'm talking to my kids over at the alternative school that I'm at now. You know, those kids come in with challenges. Even today, I gave 3 strategies to a young lady that needed to know how her affect and her demeanor was causing conflict and causing chaos in her life. And once we finished, she vowed to me that she would try a different way, try some of the strategies, and I can't wait to see what comes of it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes.
I'm curious to know, how do you go from being an urban fiction writer to self-help? How do you make that transition, I guess, from an artistic standpoint?
I read a lot. Mm-hmm. So in the process of reading, you see different styles. You understand what moves people, and you now are able to put your life into it. So urban fiction is nothing but creativity.
Mhm.
Now, if I throw a reference to my life in, it's probably not going to be the major character because I'm not living like this particular person, but I might have some references in my background that's like, okay, yeah, I can throw that in. But gain favor and get ahead, this is my life.
Right.
This is absolutely my life. And from a third book, and I know you haven't mentioned it yet, but I've gone through a divorce. And when you go through a divorce, you recognize your flaws. And that's where bend don't break, how men and women think, love, and thrive. That's where you get some of those stories. These are relationship things, things that help you in a relationship, things that hurt in a relationship, red flags that you see in dating. Why some people can't get the right person in their lives for a sustained period of time because they have baggage. There are a lot of different things that go along. So I live this one. I had some toxic behaviors, as well as now I live some of the good behaviors as well that are in the book too. And this one has 8 other authors with me, my wife included in one of the chapters. So,
And
so I'm excited about it.
I read that one too. Bend don't break, because I need all the relationship help I can get. Because I've been married for 20 something years. But
Okay.
but
Yes,
see,
no.
I need some help with arithmetic too. But I know
Yeah.
in the book you said, well, Mr. Bird had said something about the problem in the relationship sometimes is we do like we do in math. The old way is carry the one over.
Yes.
Oh, that was brilliant. I got really enjoyed that too. Learning.
So when he submitted that chapter to me, and I read that part, I had the exact same response. You was like, "Oh my God!" Now here it is. As a teacher, I was a math teacher. So now you're putting that circle and that wheelhouse in for me. I was really, really excited about being able to, hear that because he's absolutely right.
Just to piggyback off of that point, I think sometimes, I guess in my experience in life, when I was dating before I was married, I
Right,
think when we're talking about father figures, I think sometimes we can carry the one from our not a good relationship with our father.
right,
I remember trying to date when I was dating, say, somebody who didn't have a good relationship with their father. It's like I was
right.
trying to fix all these things that I didn't see coming.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it goes true that you can't carry the one even from a damage that may have happened in the childhood from a
Yes.
father that wasn't there the way he should have been.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. I believe that fathers are central to the family, and I do not believe that there is any substitute for a father in the house. I know we have strong women. I know you have people who have been forced to have more father-like roles when it comes down to it. But the bottom line is a child will learn a lot from a father. A good father will teach them. They're going to learn regardless. Even if they have a bad father, they're going to learn some toxic behaviors and things that they shouldn't do.
Mhm.
All right. And they may mimic those things until they find out that there is a better way to do it, or until something happens that's drastic. But when it's all said and done, if you have a father in your life who consistently, and that is a good man, a good person, someone who takes care of the things he needs to take care of, and who can still reach out to you on an emotional level, right
Mhm.
here, then you're winning. You are
Mhm.
winning. And even as I look in my family, I look at the kids who my grandmother had 13 kids.
Mine too.
In that process of having 13 kids, she had 9 boys and 4 girls. When I start looking at the families, the structure of those who had the father and the mother in their houses, that's when I see that the kids are more successful. And that's no disrespect to any of my cousins or anything like that. But honestly, they weren't on an even playing field.
Right.
Of course, my dad can come in and integrate himself into their life as their uncle, but there's a difference between a father and an uncle.
Yes.
So I'll say, for me, my greatest goal and my greatest responsibility is being a great father.
Mhm.
That's even before being a great husband.
Mhm.
I have to be a great father because I'm raising men who will then become fathers, and I don't need a cycle from them that they're going to be negative.
Right, right. And it's a generational. You know, we learn like
Mhm.
you just said. You said it. It was the way you
Absolutely.
said it. We learn. Sometimes we can learn what not to do. But just
Absolutely.
being present, being there,
Absolutely.
showing up, and
Mhm.
doing our best is the biggest
Yes.
part of it.
Yes.
Well, we winded down on time, but I do want to give the audience a chance to find you, get your work, get your books again, maybe show them again,
Mhm.
your contacts, BG, your
Yes.
alias name. What is it?
Yes, yes. So I have 3 books out. Thank you all. Would love for you to support those books. All of them can be found on Amazon. I do author copies and things like that too. So if you're interested in an author copy, then you can hit me on Instagram at BG BG4 Magic. That's BG, the number 4 Magic. That you can find me on Instagram if you'd like to go there. I'm under Eli Welch and Facebook if you're a Facebook user. And if you know Barnard, he always has a contact that he can always get in touch with me. So if you just want a good read for Chasing Sage, this is what the book cover looks like. This one is from with my alias BG Magic on it. It can be found on Amazon. Just put in Chasing Sage by BG Magic, and you will absolutely, this will come up for you. It's not an expensive read, but I will tell you right now, it will be great enjoyment for you. So gain favor and get ahead is not just for individuals. If there are groups that you have mentor group, or you are in schools and you really need a book that's going to empower kids on how to change their habits so that they can gain favor and get ahead, this is one that you can purchase on Amazon, or you can reach out to me on Instagram, or you can reach out to me at any point. And then you will be able to order these books right here as class sets and all of that. I even use this book in my current school. Now, of course, I can't purchase the book. I can't have the school system purchase it because I'm there. That's a conflict of interest. But what I do is I use the contents of the book myself to work at our advisement. We have Wisdom Wednesdays. So we use that for them. So if you're interested in finding out about M&Ms and how they're good and some of the other topics in here, and Barnard, if you don't mind, I just want to read off just a couple of the topics that we have. M&Ms are good. Then we have one that talks about vocabulary matters, and that teaches the kids about how important it is for them to speak and be well versed in their vocabulary. We have brain versus brawn, meaning, okay, make good decisions now so you don't have to work as hard. We also have a title that says practice makes perfect. Wrong, because it's not. If you practice 1 plus 1 is 3, then when you take a test, you're going to put that 3 when you see 1 plus 1, and that's absolutely wrong. So it's really perfect practice that helps to make it more close to perfect. That you're always on stage. Attitudes are contagious. The 5 finger. Well, the chapter I love most is BB is the king. So and this is where we're dating ourselves, right? When you say BB King, the blues artist BB King, right?
Right.
My kids at the alternative school, they're like, who is that? I'm like, okay, he's no longer living now. Don't worry about it. Okay. But BB stands for bounce back. Bounce back is the king. Literally saying to you that, hey, no matter what comes in your life, you've got to be able to bounce back. The quicker you bounce back, the better off you will be. And then certainly you got 5 finger financials there too. And then the last one is a relationship book. I have some amazing authors who helped me with this one right here. There are 18 chapters. I wrote 10. There are 8 chapters are people who are pivotal in my life and I know have the expertise to give great relationship advice. This one also can be found on Amazon too, and its title is Bend, Don't Break: How Men and Women Think, Love, and Thrive. I mean, all of them are great reads. Right now, I'm currently working on Broken Promises, which is a continuation of Chasing Sage. And to be honest with you, I'm halfway through the book already. Wow. And the first half of the book is even better than Chasing Sage. So I'm just telling you, it's going to be great. Who knows? Maybe one day you'll see it on the big screen.
Right. We're closer right here in Atlanta. That's where the Hollywood is now.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I tell you what I do. I will put the links that you want us to put up for your book, the names of the titles and stuff on our page, and we'll tag you in it. And hopefully people
Sounds good.
can continue to support you as you do what Miss Baker did for you when
Yes.
you did in enlightening our community. I thank you so much for joining us on the way it is, Dr. Well.
All right. Well, thank you, Bernard. I really appreciate it and look forward to working with you in other forums as well.
All
Thank
right.
you. All
All
right.
right, now that's my time. That's the way it is. And that was Dr. Eli Welch. Please follow him and buy his books, and so he can continue to put out more content like this to help us evolve. You know, the African proverb is the story of the hunt only favors the hunter until the lion shares the truth. But when we have authors that are sharing our truth, we must support them. And that's my time. I'm Bernard Sims, and that's the way it is.